how have you been able to kind of stay grounded in who you are as a person, even with all the fame and attention that's come to you now?
Just knowing that life wasn't always like this, I wasn't always what I am today. I wasn't always a guy that people wanted to take pictures with or was a five-star guy or, so just knowing that it wasn't like that before, it just caused me to remain who I am, and knowing that, if you take it for granted, it could be taken away from you. So just try to just stay down and, just keep the blessings coming. That's how I remain the way I am.
What's going on today? I'm the host, SchuZ, and joining me today is 2022 McDonald's All-American, three-time All-State selection in the state of South Carolina, a five-star recruit, the number 12 ranked player in the class of 2022, according to 24/7's Top 100 for 2022, 2022 Sports Illustrated All-American, and the fourth highest ranked commit in Tennessee history, Julian Phillips. Julian, I appreciate you taking time to come on today, man.
Oh, yeah, man. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Well, you came on just about almost 2 years ago now, right when you first started getting into your recruiting process. But there is one thing we've got to get in to start this off. And it was right after you got there to link for a little bit. A video came out about you guys doing the vertical test. And obviously, you touched just about the top of the hoop there. So you got to take us through this. For starters, how high exactly is your vertical?
I think when we tested that link, that was like a 40.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure. So it probably went up since then, but I haven't tested it since then though.
So have you been able to touch the top of the hoop yet then?
I actually never tried it since then, but I'm pretty sure I could get it if I tried it again.
So have you always had that athleticism then, or did that start coming to you just the past couple of years?
Yeah, I've always had athleticism. I think I started dunking like the summer of 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been able really to jump my whole life.
Well, we're going to get into your story because obviously Tennessee fans are excited to get you out there now, but you obviously have had a long journey to get to the point that you're at today. So if we head back, I know you're out there right now. That's out there in South Carolina. So what was it like growing up out there?
It was cool. If you actually live here, it's really not too much to do out here. So it's easy to focus on basketball. You get in the gym with your trainers and stuff. But just growing up, just playing a lot of basketball, playing with my friends at school and stuff. Because like I said, it's really not too much to do outside of it. Not really too many tourist attractions or amusement parks or anything like that. So just staying focused on basketball was really easy for me growing up out here.
The basketball atmosphere in the Carolinas in general, but obviously South Carolina as well, is really huge. So what's it been like growing up in that basketball atmosphere out there?
It's good, growing up, I got to see a lot of guys. You got the Chick-fil-A Classic tournament.
Mm-hmm.
That was real popular when I was a kid. So you got to see guys like Seventh Woods, Cam Reddish came down, Juwan Gary, a lot of guys from South Carolina. So it's good, it gives you a lot of inspiration as a kid, to grow up and be really good one day and be in their shoes.
Who would you say was your favorite guy growing up out there? Because obviously you spent the first major part of your high school career, the first 3 years, and obviously growing up out there. Who was your favorite player in South Carolina to go up against?
To go up against, let me think. Probably Gort. Going against him was pretty fun. Got to play him a lot. I played him a lot when I was younger. Then we had a couple battles when we was high school AAU. So
I believe you originally were born in Texas, then you moved out to South Carolina after I think you were 4 or 5 or 6, something like that. What caused that transition for you?
It was pretty easy. I was real young back then, so I remember it, but it wasn't really too hard for me. It was just I had to go wherever my parents wanted to, really. So I really ain't have no choice or nothing like that. But it wasn't too hard on me.
I believe you guys made that transition because I know both your parents were part of the military. So take us to that a little bit. Like, what was it like growing up alongside them and having them be both former members of the Army? How big was that for you and just kind of creating the person that you are today?
It was real big. It taught me a lot of discipline, a lot of respect. Luckily though, when we moved to South Carolina, they were actually already out the military. So they just liked Columbia because they were previously stationed here before. So we moved back here. But it was pretty good. You know, I love my parents a lot. You know, they taught me a lot of things. That's really about it.
What would you say is the biggest lesson that your mom's taught you, and what's the biggest lesson that you've taken from your dad now?
Definitely my mom telling me that, like, you know, anything you do, you know, try to be great at it. You know, don't want to do like a half job on anything. You know, if you're gonna do something, put your full effort into it.
Mhm.
And my pops definitely just staying consistent with the work. You know, they both still work now, so seeing how hard they've been working my whole life gives me a lot of motivation to keep working hard myself.
Was the ball put in your hands when you were at a young age? Did you start playing other sports, kind of eventually fell in love with basketball? Or when did you first start playing the game of basketball?
Around like 5 or 6. At first, they tried to make me play football. My older brother played football,
Mhm.
and I went to like one practice and quit because I wasn't really feeling it. So then I went to basketball, and I've really been with it ever since.
At what point in your life would you say it came that time where you said, okay, I know I'm capable of doing something with this game that can go a lot further than just high school? I can play obviously throughout high school, but I could potentially go and play in college. I could possibly go play pro. When did that start settling into you?
Probably like ninth grade. I played varsity as a freshman, but I was real skinny and stuff. I was about like 150 at that time. So like they didn't really know how well I would do considering I was so like small in my frame. But I even when I did play, I played really well and I averaged about like 14 points, 15 as a freshman. So when I figured that out, then I first got my offer. I'm like, yeah, I can actually, you know, take this real far.
So if someone would have came and told you before you ever play a game in high school, like just as a freshman, maybe end of eighth grade, that in 4 years span time, you're going to be a guy that is one of the top ranked players in the entire country, or a five-star recruit, McDonald's All-American, could choose from practically any school in the entire country. Would that have shocked you? Is that what you were expecting, or what would your reaction have been?
It definitely would have shocked me, but it's definitely what I wanted. You know, that's something that you dream of as a kid, being a McDonald's All-American, Jordan Brand, all that, being able to play in those big games, being a 5 star. But it definitely would have shocked me because I think back then I was like real low on the rankings and stuff like that, maybe like 70 or something like that.
Mhm.
So it definitely would have came as a surprise.
So you decided to go out there to Blythewood High, which is where you start off your high school career at. What's the high school you want to start off at?
Well, I live in Blythewood, South Carolina, so I was really zoned for Blythewood to begin with. And then I liked the coach, Coach Washington. He was a great coach for me for 3 years. And that's just really why I went there.
As you said, you were a 3 year member on varsity. So that very first year, not only were you that, but you also became an all-state member too that season. What was your very first year in high school like?
It came real fast. You know, the season is real different from what middle school basketball was. It was a lot more physical, a lot more faster. I played with some pretty good guys. Played with Trey Jackson, who just recently transferred to Western Carolina, was at Iowa State before that. So he was a tough guard. Being able to play with him and see, it was just like, man. But you know, I picked up on it pretty quickly. I learned fast, and you know, I think I did really well my freshman year.
One part about your game that I've always loved and kind of the way you developed too is that, as you mentioned, you've been a part of rankings. You not weren't necessarily like a 5 star from the get-go of rankings on that, but you always have been ranked. You always had the spotlight on you since a young age. How have you continued to have the mindset of saying, even though I've achieved the overall goal of getting offers now, or achieved the goal of being a ranked player, I'm still going to keep putting in work so I can continue to move my way up, continue to focus on the college dream and the NBA dream. What's kept you motivated this whole time?
Um, you know, just wanting better for myself. One, definitely my parents. Two, my family, of course. Just knowing, yeah, I was always ranked like coming in high school, but I wasn't always the highest rank. You know, I was low. And I knew I could be better than that. And then that just motivated me as the years go on to keep putting in work, you know, keep trying to expand my game. And then, of course, throughout the course of the years, you know, my ranking and stuff moved up.
One part about your game that, as I said, I kind of love too, is that you have developed into a three-way scorer. We know you're ultra athletic, as we talked about in the intro. You're a player that can shoot from deep now. You got that has a mid-range game in your bag as well. How have you developed all three of those aspects? Because that is huge to be able to make it to the eventual NBA jump. What kind of allowed you to develop into each one of those different attributes there?
Yeah, I think that's something I really had to, get within my game. If anybody really saw me play as like a freshman or a sophomore, I really didn't shoot the ball well. Or I really didn't even shoot at all, really, to tell you the
Mm.
truth. I'll probably shoot maybe one jump shot a game. Most of my points were at the basket. But as I got older, and then playing under the Upper Stars program, my trainer, my AAU coach, Coach Kurt, they told me like, at the next level, you have to start shooting. They're gonna start packing the paint in on you. They're gonna start daring you to shoot. So just letting them letting me know that really motivated me to improve my jump shot. I work with a number of shooting coaches.
Mm.
Mike Miller, he's one of the people I work with a lot on my jump shot. He's really helped me a lot on it. I think that's really what helped expand my game.
Go a little bit more into that. Having a guy like Mike Miller who has walked your shoes in terms of becoming an NBA player, one of the greatest shooters that we've had in our generation at least. What has it been like getting to work on kind of learn from the same time a guy of that caliber?
It's great. I work with him a lot, and every workout is very intense. It's crazy to see like, and well, he's not old, but like as old as he
Yeah.
is, like how good he can really still shoot the ball. Like it's crazy if you see it. Like he, like it's wild. Like he'll probably go like a workout without even missing. And he ain't stretching or nothing like that. He's just trying to help me. So being able to work with him is great. He's taught me a lot of things, and it's great to have him by my side throughout this journey.
How'd you guys get to know each other?
Well, my AAU coach is good friends with him. Coach
Mm.
Curtis, he's actually good friends with him. So he kind of put me on and connected us through him. And then I went up to Memphis a couple of times, worked out with him and stuff like that.
We got a little bit into your athleticism earlier, but in terms of dunks, like you said, you started off about seventh grade being able to dunk. What's been your favorite dunk that you've pulled off in a game or a scrimmage or something that you've done since you've been capable of dunking?
Yeah, I think like I want to say probably my first in-game dunk was in like middle school, it was eighth grade
Mm.
year, and it was like a lob off the backside. That was probably my favorite, just because it was my first one, and
Mhm.
like you rarely see that in middle school games. So like
Mhm.
the crowd was going crazy, and it was just tough.
What would you say has been your favorite posterized or body you've caught in a game so far?
Um, my favorite, I don't know. I done boomed a couple people for sure though, but I don't know which one's my favorite.
Well, let's hop into your sophomore year of high school then, because you guys go 17-11 as a team that year. What was your second year in high school like?
It was good. After, the seniors and stuff left, we really had a good young group. So that really made me step up more into a leadership role and to making it my own team. And I think I did pretty well with that. We made it to the playoffs that year, if I'm not mistaken. I think we lost though in the first round, but
Mhm.
no, we lost in the second round. We
Mhm.
lost to Dorman, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. That was like the number 2 team in the country back then when they had PJ and Miles and all them.
Mhm.
But it was good though, just getting that experience, trying to first time having really my own team and trying to like be in that big leadership role and being the main guy.
Obviously, around that time, it didn't necessarily end up impacting that sophomore season, but COVID comes into play then, and that's when ended up ending Dorman's chance of going to Geico and stuff like that. But that comes into play, and this is huge because it really impacted 2022 class and the guys that were uncommitted in 2021 the most because recruiting was pretty much shut down then. Obviously, no AAU season for you guys. How did that impact your life?
It definitely impacted a lot. I was the first time you really had like basketball kind of like took away from you, so you really didn't know what to do. Of course, you're trying to still try to work out and work on your game, but like gyms was closed and we didn't have AAU practice, high school. We didn't have high school, couldn't get in those gyms, so it was tough. A lot of work at home, I would say, a lot of work at home.
How much work would you say you're able to put in? Like, if you're looking at a typical off season per se, this past one going into your senior year, going into your sophomore year, whatever, were you able to work out the same, more or less? Like, how much in terms of the hours or amount of time you typically would put in were you able to do during that off season?
During that off season, it was probably a little less just because you couldn't get into the gym than normal.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely would try to go like 2 times a day though, like normally maybe even 3 if I can. But back then it was probably like maybe like once. And plus my parents, my mom, she's a nurse, so she was real scared about it. So she wasn't trying to let me leave the house and nothing like that. So it was tough.
That junior season then was also impacted in a way with COVID because obviously stuff was going on. Whoever got COVID, games had to be canceled, whatever might have been. How much did it have an impact on then your junior season?
Oh, it had a big impact actually. Because my head coach at Blythewood, Coach Washington, he didn't coach us my 11th grade year, so we had our assistant coach, and that was a big change for me. Of course, not having him there, I think it was tough at first, definitely, but we got through it and got the ball rolling with it as the season went forward. But it definitely impacted us a lot that year.
Max Trips has you guys only playing like 14 games that year, 8-6. Were a lot of games canceled that year then, or how did you guys get to that in terms of amount of games you guys played?
I think it was just because, like games got canceled. We had like COVID. What's it called? Like guys on our team that got COVID, so we had quarantine. We had quarantine for like 2 weeks one time. I think that might happen to us twice. So like it was just tough. Like we couldn't really stay together, get really in tune as much as we would normally.
When you guys were going through that course of the season, and obviously you're at your junior year now, obviously upperclassmen now, what would you say that year was like overall, though? Because you still obviously got some games in, you still once again was an all-state player. What was that year like in terms of when you guys at least were able to play?
It was a blessing, that we at least got the opportunity because we know that some teams really might not even have got the chance to play. It was real high in their area. But nonetheless, we thank God we stayed safe. Nobody got seriously ill throughout it all. But we were just happy we did get the chance to play those 14 games.
There were a lot of states that had the mask mandate while playing games. Were you guys one of those? You guys have to wear masks during practice and games, or were you guys not having to do that?
It was weird. Like we had to wear a mask on the bench, but when we got in the game, we didn't have to wear it. At work.
There was a young freshman that was up and coming though on that team, Kyle Green now, who's also starting to kind of fill into his own shoes now. What was it like seeing him there as a freshman then? And you kind of now being that veteran that everyone knows is going to be a college player at that point in time, kind of helping impact then an up and coming young player on that team.
Yeah, well, some people don't. I've been to KJ since probably like second grade. Me and him went to the same elementary school, and like ironically, my class, we had this thing called like book buddies where we would go read to like the kindergarten class. Like randomly, I was his book buddy like that whole not knowing like what it would be like as we got older with basketball and stuff. So I actually had a really good relationship with him previously, but it was great having him on the team and getting to learn from some of the older guys. I think, he's going to be a really great player. He is a great player now, but definitely going to be an even better player at the next level. I think his move to Pace Academy is really helping him. And of course, he plays with Upward, so I know he's doing real good over there too.
He's a part of obviously the next up and coming guy that's going to help represent South Carolina basketball as a whole now for the next couple of years. How special is he? And obviously, still a few more years from going to college, but like, what kind of player will someone be getting in him whenever he does go to college and commit?
He's tough. He's a great kid in the classroom. He's always had great grades. I know that. But even on the basketball court, he's real versatile. He's a bigger guard. He can shoot it. He can handle it. You're getting that guy, I think, at the next level that can do pretty much whatever you ask of him. So then he'll be doing great then whenever he decides to commit.
I also want to go a little bit deeper into your game and the aspect of who you really grew up watching, because obviously your game is unique. You're athletic, as we talked about. You're long. You're 6'8", 6'9" kind of range. Are there certain guys that you've watched and kind of modeled your game after? Like, has it been maybe one guy specifically, a couple guys, and if so, who are they?
Yeah, like when I'm watching film with different guys, I like to watch a lot of Chris Middleton. Recently, I've been watching a lot of Mikal Bridges on the defensive end. I think, he's a monster on defense, being able to really guard 1 through 5. Paul George is another one. Just guys like those who are bigger guards, who are good shot creators as well.
I want to go a little bit deeper into that aspect too, because you just mentioned a couple of guys that obviously, if you know basketball, you know who Chris Middleton is, Mikal Bridges, obviously, PG is, but a lot of players would typically say, Giannis or LeBron, they just watch the obvious superstars. What's allowed you to kind of go and say, I'm going to pick a guy that might not be as well known, obviously, a guy like Chris Middleton, Mikal Bridges. What's allowed you to kind of locate and find those guys and say, I want to take this part and this part, whatever it is, from those guys' games?
Yeah, well, I think obviously, I watch like KD and LeBron too, but but KD like 7 foot, so it's not really as common. You'll see somebody like him playing, or like
Mhm.
LeBron, like 6'8", 2 something. It's not really that common that you'll really be just like him. Those are like once in a generational type players. But I
Mhm.
think like me being able to watch guys in the league now who are like similar to my frame and my size, and then they have similarities in their game. I think like me and Mikal Bridges, we both are real long, athletic guys. Chris Middleton, we were around the same height as well, pretty good shooters. I think
Mhm.
Paul George, we're around the same height. He's a real good shot creator off the dribble. So
Mhm.
just being able to guys who are like similar to me, who have really good things to their game that I could try to pick and choose from.
Well, let's hop over to the AAU side for a little bit now. And you've obviously ran with Upward Stars. They're a great program. What originally made you want to go and play for them? Like, what was the connection that got you to go play for Upward Stars a while ago?
Yeah, it was Coach Kurt. I got to have a good relationship with him my freshman year, high school basketball. He really came to a lot of my games. I talked with him a lot. Me and my family, we really connected with him. And we just found that I wanted to play for a team that was close to home, and then just a great program where I could excel in. And then we found that Upward was that program.
You and I have known each other for a while, but one of the first times, or I guess probably the second or third time I actually got to watch you was during the 3SSB championship time out there in Iowa. And you obviously kind of asserted yourself, especially last summer. You really started to solidify yourself as one of the best players. I'm not too big on rankings and all the stuff, exactly what numbers are, but you proved that I think you're one of the top tier players. You have the NBA potential and all that this past year. So when you were going into your final AAU season, obviously the first time in about 2 years that you've been playing AAU, what was your mindset? Like, what did you want to accomplish in that final AAU run?
Yeah, well, me, my trainer, and Coach Kirby really decided that like July was really the biggest. Well, he always preached to us the whole year that July is where people make their money, as he says.
Yep.
So we knew early on in the year, playing there in the spring, that was more like fine tuning for when July comes. Because when they come and all the coaches are there, that's when all the lights are on. It really can like make or break you. Playing in front of all those guys. So there's a lot of training. A lot of shots getting prepared. I knew I had to start showcasing my jump shot a lot more during that period to show coaches I can stretch the floor a little bit. And that's really all that really went into me having that great summer. I owe it a lot to Coach Curry and my trainer. They really pushed me that spring, right before July period came to really, be the best person I could be on the court. And I think that's really what happened that year.
Would you say it was during that AAU season or past maybe even during the Link Academy year, or hasn't even clicked yet that you started realizing, obviously at that point in time, you already knew you're a Division I player, but now people obviously started mentioning you in the NBA discussion. That's something obviously we'll talk about a little bit later too, but has that been something that you started realizing? Like, did you realize during the past that summer that you actually have the potential of possibly going against the NBA? Like you could look at guys like Chris Livingston you got to go up against and all these guys that are the five stars. That start to really kind of settle in saying, this is something I could truly play at a high level in terms of profession at the NBA level, or when did that start settling in, if it has?
Yeah, it has settled me a little bit. I think that really settled me more like during my prep school year at Link.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to play with a lot of the top guys in the country and play a national schedule. We had a really good year. I want to say it was like 34-2.
Yep.
So me being able to play at the highest level of high school, and then me be able to play as well as I did that year, I think that really, clicked in my head that, as long as I keep working, keeping my head down, I could actually take this really far.
You look back at your entire AAU career and all the memories that you created. What would you say has been your favorite AAU memory?
My favorite AAU memory, what was it? Probably, nah, I ain't even gonna do them like that. Let me see. Uh, Probably my freshman year, my ninth grade year when we played at the 3SSB circuit. What happened? We played some team that was like the number one team in the Adidas thing. It was like 14-1 or like 14-0. But we ended up beating them. But like
Mm-hmm.
that was just real special for us. We really did really well that year. That was probably my favorite year for sure.
You then decided to make a big move that I'm glad you made. And I'm really high on guys taking that prep move or at least going on a national schedule. Obviously, guys can be just fine if they do stay at regular high school throughout all 4 years, but playing the extra year, I think gets guys much more ready for college. And possibly even long-term pro-wise, but especially for getting guys ready for college. So you make that decision. You decide to go out there to Lincoln Academy, go out there to Missouri. What kind of made you decide to say, you know what, I'm going to spend my final year at Link. I feel like I'm ready to make that jump. I want to play a year on the prep level. What kind of led you to that decision?
Just looking at what decision would help me further for my career, will help further my career the best. I think me going to prep school really prepared me a lot for the next level, whatever college is like. It was more like a college, regular than a traditional high school out at Link.
Yeah.
A lot more basketball throughout the day versus, being in class from like 9 to like 3. So I think that move out there really helped me prepare for the next level.
How much better of a player would you say this past year being at Lincoln Academy has made you?
It made me a lot better player. I think
Mhm.
I've gotten to do things I wouldn't be able to do at a traditional high school. I think at Blythewood, it was kind of my team. I was the main guy on the team. But when I went to Link, obviously, we had me, J Wall, we had T Reed, Felix, we had a lot of high major guys.
Mhm.
So I was a part of something that was just bigger than me, So me being able to come in, accept my role, and play within the team and play with a bunch of high level guys, it taught me a lot that year, definitely.
Well, let's jump into that season because, as you said, you get out there and you're getting out practice up against Jordan Walsh, a guy that's going to most likely be a one-and-done player too, every single day at practice. You have Terrace Reed out there. The list goes on, guys. You had to go up and match up against day in, day out at practice. What was that
Mm-hmm.
like? Like the very first day that you got there to practice and you get to go up against Jay Walsh, you get to go up against Terrace, you get to go up against all these guys. What was that like?
It was great. We had a really good team.
Mm-hmm.
Another guy, Omaha Baloo, for
Mm-hmm.
getting to go against. It was tough. It was tough. A lot of good battles in practice. A lot of competitive practices. That's one thing. I think our practice was really high competitive the entire year, and I think that's really what helped a lot. Not just me, but a lot of guys on the team. Prepare for whatever the next year is going to be like. But it was just great having that experience.
Was there someone that shocked you? You didn't know too much about. Maybe you just saw the name on a ranking or you just saw the name somewhere, but like this was the first time you got to see them play and kind of shocked you at how good they were.
Um, yeah, we got a lot of good guys. Damian Mayo for sure. He's committed to Missouri State. He's tough though. He's tough. He could go. I think he could go high major for sure.
Mhm.
Julian Norris is another one on my team. A real hard worker. Definitely do great at the next level. He's going to Moorhead. Who else? Who I can't think of nobody else. There's a lot. It's a lot. The younger guys that are like fresh. I like juniors and stuff. I kind of
Mhm.
knew they was gonna be nice, and then they playing with MoCan, so they doing real good right now. So
Mhm.
I think that's really them two guys right there. Though definitely, they're real tough for sure.
So who was your favorite guy to match up against? Like when you guys got into practice and you guys had to play 5-on-5 or whatever it might have been, who was the guy you like going up against the most in practice?
For sure, Omaha, because
Mm.
he played hard the whole time. Like don't matter what we doing, what it is, playing, he going as hard as he can. So it was definitely fun getting the matchup against O.
He just announced his top four now. Obviously, his decision's going to come sometime eventually, but whatever school lands him, I guess he also has a G League, I think, in the top four too. But whoever does land him, what are they getting in him?
A pro, man. They getting a hard worker, a real
Mhm.
versatile guy that could really pretty much do everything. He a monster, man, on offense and defensive end, man. He gonna be real special at the next level, at wherever he decides to go.
So, who was the funniest guy in that locker room?
It was me. It had to be me. If you ask anybody on the team, they'll say me. But besides me, I'll probably say Julian Norris. He was pretty funny. Man. He was pretty funny too.
This was a unique situation on this team because a lot of these prep teams that were around this past year, Compass and Montverde, all of them have been around for a while. This was your guys' first run, and it was a special run. You guys only lose 2 games the entire season, 34-2, make the championship at Geico. Were you guys expecting that heading into the year? I mean, you guys obviously knew you guys had talent, you guys were going to be good, but do you guys think you guys would be that good this year?
Yeah, Coach P, he really preached to us that like he put this team together strategically. He could have got. He didn't want to go out and just get a team full of 12 5 stars. You know, he said he put the team together strategically to make us go to Geico. So he preached that to us really at the beginning of the year, but even before we started practicing and stuff like that. So with him saying that to us, we all believe that, you know, we all trusted in him and we did what he said to do. And, you know, that got us to the championship. Obviously, we fell short to a really good Montverde team, but, you know, nonetheless, that year we feel special what we were able to do.
When you talk about a guy that might go undefeated or only lose 2 games at a local high school, it's like, okay, obviously that's a little bit easier to maybe achieve, but to only lose 2 games and one of those is in the championship game, when you guys are playing constantly top ranked teams, just about every single game you guys going up against at least another Division I player, how are you guys able to continue winning game after game this year, even though you guys were going up against other teams that were just as good or at least had talent on their teams too?
We just trusted in each other. You know, we had a team full of guys, you know, so even if one guy didn't have a great night, you know, we had another guy off the bench or even in the starting line that stepped up, you know, and now we're able to keep everybody rolling. We, like I said, we always trusted in each other and no matter what, have each other's back and everything. So I think with us being able to build that bond and, you know, that trust we built within each other, that just kept us the ball rolling the whole year and kept everything going.
Official announcement comes out and you guys obviously make Geico. What was your reaction when you guys found it out?
Oh, we was ecstatic, man. We were happy, you know. If I ain't gonna say that, but it was a lot of stuff that like went into us getting in Geico or maybe not getting in the Geico.
Mm-hmm.
But once we finally got in, we knew that was like that's all we needed was a chance to get in. We was gonna get to the championship for sure. Like it was no doubt. Like once we got in, it was no doubt we was getting to the championship. Like everybody knew, so it was real special, man.
So let's go through that run. Obviously, you guys didn't finish with the ultimate goal of winning it all, but you guys make the championship. Still a huge, great season to look back on. What was that run like? You guys get to the first round, and you guys move on to the second round, then obviously end up going to Montverde and losing there. But what was that championship round? And what was that whole Geico tournament like?
It was great. You know, we played first round. First round we had Oak Hill. And we played really good that game. I think we want to say we won by like 10 plus. I can't remember the exact score. And the next game we had Prolific, a team that we played a lot. We played twice during the regular year. And, you know, Coach Pete preached a lot that it's hard to beat a team 3 times, you know, which we experienced that once when we played Huntington in the year. Ended up playing them 3 times. But the third game, they almost got us. It was a tough game for sure. They pretty much knew everything we were going to do. So that was tough, but we still pulled that one off. So even second round versus Prolific, coach, you know, preaching like, you know, we got to stay together. You know, it's going to be hard to beat them 3 times, but ultimately, you know, we got over that hump. Then we made it to the championship game, first Montverde, and that was a tough game. Obviously, you know, they have a great program over there, a great tradition with a great coach. Then on top of that, they got good players. So that game was real tough. Also, you know, we came up short. But, you know, I think we really played really well that game. We could have played better for sure, but nonetheless, it was a special tournament.
Who would you say was your favorite team and your favorite player matchup against this past year?
Let me think. Probably the Montverde game. That was my favorite, just because it was the championship game. But like that's like the biggest high school game you could play against. That's the biggest high school game you really could play in. You know, the championship. The national championship, and I think I was matched up against D. Mitchell that game. So that was fun getting a battle with him.
We go back to some of the guys in that locker room. Obviously, Terrace Reed's going to be out there at Michigan. Omaha still hasn't made his decision, but obviously has a potential possible reclassing as we've talked about. But Jay Wash, you know, he's going out there to Arkansas, who you're for sure be playing up against next year. And the list goes on of guys. But when you do match up against any one of these guys, or maybe an AU teammates or whoever it is in college next year, what do you think that game's going to be like?
It should be fun. You know, I expect it to be real fun because, you know, those are guys I played with in high school, and then we're at the next level in front of 30, 20,000 fans in a packed arena. So it should be real fun getting to match up with them.
I know you're for sure going to be playing against Jordan next year. So when you guys go up against each other now against Arkansas, Tennessee, I don't know who's going to be home that game, but when you guys do play each other, what's going to be like matching up against him?
It should be fun. You know, I matched up with him a lot in practice this year, and he did with me too. So I think it should be real fun.
Well, obviously, you've been through a long transition period now of this recruiting process, the ups and downs of that. But before we get officially into that, there was a big event you were able to be a part of. That's McDonald's All-American, one of the highest honors you can win and be a part of in high school. Also, were selected Jordan Brand Classic and Iverson Classic too. But let's go into the McDonald's All-American game because countless guys were there. Obviously, we know you're one of the top players, but 24 guys make it. What was your reaction when you found out that you're going to be a McDonald's All-American?
It was crazy. It was definitely crazy. We was at Link when like the thing came out on ESPN. I was like, I want to say I was on the phone with my brother, and he like told me I made it. It was just great though. And then that experience of being there was just fun. The whole weekend was really real fun. The game was crazy. It's probably one of the best games I ever played in. So just that whole experience was really great.
So did they let you know before they officially announced it on the NBA Today show or whatever? Or did that just when that came out, did you find out?
Yeah, when it came out, that's when I found out about it.
So you get to be out there and you're part of some of these other top players in the country, the guys that you've grown up and been a part of now. What was that environment like and just the experience like?
It was real competitive, but it was fun nonetheless because, of course, this is everybody's dream to play in a big game like this in front of all those fans. You know, you had like Lil Baby and all the rappers out there performing and stuff. So it was fun. But the game was competitive too. But luckily, the East got the dub this year, so it was cool.
What was your favorite part or favorite memory from McDonald's All-American?
Definitely just playing in the game. I had my whole family there.
Mm-hmm.
My dad actually from Chicago, so I had a bunch of family from Chicago there too, seeing me play. So it was just a great experience.
You mentioned obviously we know Lil Baby was there and other rappers too. Who's your favorite rapper? And if so, was one of them there?
My favorite rapper right now, probably the Lil Durk or this other rapper named Lil Double O. But nah, they wasn't there though. But that was my favorite rapper.
You also were selected, as I mentioned, the Jordan Brand Classic, Iverson Classic. You also didn't play in those though, but what was it like to learn that you got that selection? And also then like what kind of led you to decide not to compete in those?
Oh, it was great being selected for both of those too. That was also another dream of mine as a kid, being able to be selected for those. But I actually didn't play because I broke my nose like a week
Mm-hmm.
before the game on a four-wheeler. I actually got in like a four-wheeler accident and broke my nose, so I couldn't play in them.
Well, take us through a little bit of that. Obviously, I have to imagine you seem to be healed up now though, but what exactly happened there then?
Yeah, just me and my teammates. Julian Norris actually was riding. Well, it was me, Julian Norris, and then Jay Wall and Omaha was on the other one. And
Mm-hmm.
we was just riding through some like bumpy roads or hills, and I just hit a bump and we fell off.
Well, let's get into that recruiting process now because, as I mentioned, it's been a chaotic one. Obviously, you're finally settled now. You know for sure where you're heading next year. But the original recruiting process, you're going through it now. And as we know, you could decide to commit to Will Wade and LSU. But when you were narrowing down that decision, you obviously originally had a top 10, and you narrowed it down to LSU, Tennessee, Florida State, USC. What was about those original four schools? Like, why are those the first four schools back out there in October-ish time that you decided and said, these are the schools I really want to narrow in on?
I think just those are the four schools that did the best job recruiting me. I had a really good relationship with all of the coaches, and those systems that they run, I really could see myself playing in and flourishing in. So those are really the reasons why I decided to cut it down to those four.
So what was about LSU then? How did Coach Will Wade in that program ultimately land you the first time around?
Uh, I just think the way he recruited me was great. I had a great relationship with him. And then when I went on my visit, we had the meetings and stuff. He had like the PowerPoint broken down on what the plan would be for me when I got there in terms of how having my success as a college freshman and then hopefully getting me to the NBA. And then, on top of that, it was just great. I thought him having that plan and showing me, what it would be like when I got down there was really everything I needed.
You guys were building up a very special recruiting class as well there. You guys had Johan coming in. You guys also had Devin Ree there. When you guys were forming this recruiting class, how excited were you to be able to go play alongside those other guys?
Oh yeah, we were really excited. We think it would have been real good. We would have a good freshman incoming class. It would have been tough for sure, but I guess everything happens for a reason. So nobody's really dwelling on it too much. But I think we really had a really good class that year.
So March 12th comes around and the news comes out that Will Wade has been let go and the whole situation's now come to a conclusion in terms of that situation there. What was going through your mind?
Um, it wasn't. I wasn't trying to think about it too much because I think we were at a game somewhere for
Hmm.
Link. So we was at like when I found out we were in the hotel, we had a game like later on that night. I want to say we were in Ohio. We had a game later on that night. So like when the news broke and stuff, I tried to, just stay calm, still honing on the game because, as the season, we were undefeated at that point. So, you don't want to like, go off road and like, mess up the streak we got going on. So it wasn't really too hard for me. But then after, the game and stuff, got back to school and was just talking with my parents, Coach Perry, my other trainers and stuff. And we just made the decision from there.
I know that the idea of him obviously being let go because of the allegations from the past were obviously always there, and that's an opportunity that could potentially occur. But were you shocked when it did happen? Did you have a feeling that maybe something could eventually happen, or what were you in terms of the shock aspect when that occurred?
Yeah, I mean, I knew prior that like it could possibly happen, but of course, you'll never think it really would until it does. So I was shocked a little bit, but and nonetheless, it doesn't change how I feel about Coach Wade or think about him. I still think he's a really great guy, really great coach. And that, so, but I was shocked a little bit, but we just kept it moving.
So you then decommit then, and it had to be a little chaotic for yourself, and because you have a lot of schools come after you, but at the same time, you thought that okay, I can just kind of enjoy the rest of the high school season. The recruiting process has been over for me now. Just got to get ready to go on campus. Now you have to re-go through this entire process now in a pretty short span. You only have about 3 or 4 months till June when you have to get on campus. How did you end up going through this, and how did you just take that in? Like, how were you able to get through all the chaos and kind of the craziness that occurred right after that?
Yeah, it was well, it wasn't as hard as it was the first time, obviously, because I had a lot more experience with it. So I knew what to expect coming in when we opened my recruitment. So it wasn't that hard on me. Just listening to the coaches like I did the first time, trying to find whatever the best fit is for me. This time around, ultimately, I felt that Tennessee was the best place for me.
Well, let's go into that top seven because you announced that it's down to Auburn, Florida State, South Carolina, USC, Overtime Elite, G League, and obviously Tennessee. What was about those programs? Like, why were those seven that you said, okay, they have the lead on me? I'm choosing between these seven.
Yeah, I think those are just the seven programs that I really could see myself in, and I could be comfortable at, and they can help me, and I can help them, achieve my goals, and I could win that. So that's really why.
You took visits to a few of those schools. Auburn was one of them. Starting off with them, then, what was about Auburn? Because obviously, I know one aspect was Johan. You guys just were going to team up at LSU. Potentially could have then done it there again at Auburn. What was about Auburn, and how much did you like them?
Oh, I like Auburn a lot. I had a really good relationship with Coach Pearl. And their program is really good. I think obviously they were losing Jabari and Walker, so there was some spots open there. But even when I took my visit down there, it was really great. Nonetheless. And Coach Pearl, like I said, he's a great coach. I had a good relationship with him, so that's really one of the reasons why I was heavily considering Auburn.
I know Kansas State was a school you had originally chosen to, or were going to go on a visit to. Obviously, that ended up falling through. What exactly happened with Kansas State then?
Well, yeah, I did plan on taking the visit there. Obviously, my high school coach, Coach Perry, is going to coach up there. So we were going to see, but I can't really like say like why it didn't happen because I'm really not like too sure on it. It was just like I guess it was kind of just not too new, but like I was kind of already down the line in my process when we were trying to schedule those things.
There was another school or opportunity, I should say, because it wasn't necessarily a school, but that was with the G League. And I know they're appealing destination for guys. Obviously, they can pay you obviously money for contract. It's kind of it is playing professional basketball for a year. And they kind of came in right there on the end, especially with an offer for you. I believe it was $800,000. What was it about G League and how enticing was that pitch to you then on the very end of your recruiting process?
Yeah, well, the G League, it was great. Getting to meet with them. Obviously, it's the closest thing to the NBA, and that's the ultimate goal is to get to the NBA. So it was good to hear from them, and them showing interest in me. I tried we actually got on a Zoom call and met face to face like that. So I got to talk with them a little bit. Like you said, the deal, it was good. Obviously, you get money for playing, but it was just we felt like the college route would be better for me.
Obviously, the way that the NCAA kind of combated the offers that G League could put together was NIL aspect now. Did NIL impact at all in this recruiting process where it kind of evened out saying, okay, I know I can make money at the college level just like I could at G League, or was a G League offer you think still going to be more than anything you could have made NIL wise?
I think the NIL thing is great. It's definitely something that you should listen to if you're going through the recruitment process because it's something, it's about you and it's something that you could get like legally. So, but it wasn't like the main deciding factor in my decision. I don't think the money definitely wasn't the main deciding factor in my decision. I really wanted to go somewhere where it was the best place for me basketball wise. It made the most sense. So I think being under Coach Barnes and what he's been able to do was the best place for me.
Well, obviously, as you did say, and as we know, you're going to Tennessee now. So, what was it about them? How did Rick Barnes and this Tennessee staff win you over?
Yeah, well, I already had a good relationship with them the first time through my recruitment.
Mhm.
Then obviously, Coach Barnes, he's a great coach. He's coached a lot of great wings, a lot of great pros at that too as well. So his program, and plus they just came off winning the SEC championship. So they're a pretty hot team right now. On top of the great relationship I already had, so it just made all the sense, for me to come in and go there for me.
Let's say Tennessee didn't want to come back into the picture. So, technically, you're down to six schools at that point in time. What school do you think you would have been committing to, and what school do you think you would have been playing at next year?
Um, Honestly, I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure because it was a really I was really considering all seven really seriously. It's like they were all really pretty equal, and then we just talked it over with my coach, and we were just like Tennessee is probably just the best place for you. So if I didn't go there, I'm not even sure where I would have went.
Rick Barnes had to have a huge part in this whole process because he obviously has a great coach, what he's done at the SEC level, obviously back in the Big 12 when he was at Texas and stuff like that. How big of an appeal was Coach Barnes to you? And just how big was it to have him kind of come back in this process and be a part of this and help landing it the second time around now?
It was great. They came and saw me out at Link a couple of times. Got to have lunch with them.
Mhm.
So it was just great. Coach Barnes is a great guy. He's a great coach. He's a Christian man, so he
Mhm.
keeps his faith. So it was just everything, about him that really made me decide to go with him.
I know you also are a believer, so we'll kind of get into that a little bit then. Knowing that you're going to be able to be around a coach and in a way now a father figure to yourself for at least the next year of your life that is a believer. He has that foundation that you also have. How big will that be and how big is that for you?
It's really big. I think it's really big to keep your faith. I learned a lot about it last year at Link, with Link being a Christian school, that,
Mhm.
your faith is really everything. It's really your foundation. It keeps you going, because, without God, you wouldn't be able to do the things you are able to do today. So, being able to have him by your side and thank him for all the blessings, it's really great. And I think me being able to go to Tennessee and Coach Barnes being a believer as well, as long as with the rest of the staff, it'll just make it even more better. Being able to keep my faith going throughout the college level, and I'll be able to excel within that way.
So did you guys just kind of both realize you guys both were Christians? Did he ask about that or how did you guys bring up the faith discussion?
I believe he brought it up first. Just talking with him, he was just telling me about it, and then I got to talking about it as well, and we just kind of connected it through it that way.
So what is it about Rick Barnes that makes him special? Because you haven't been able to be coached by him yet, but you got to experience Rick Barnes off the court. So what is he like on that aspect? Like just getting to talk to him on Zoom calls, visits, whatever it might be. What is he like off the court?
He's great. He has a lot of stories, a lot of crazy stories that you really wouldn't even expect him to tell. But he has a lot of great stories. He's just a great guy, and I'm excited, for him to be my coach on the court. Obviously, I haven't got to experience that side of him yet, but I'm really looking forward to it. But off the court, he's just a really great guy.
So what's the craziest story he's told you so far then?
I can't even tell him it. I don't want to put his business out like that. But he should. I'm gonna tell him do a podcast or something, man, where he needs to tell everybody those stories because he got a couple of them.
He obviously, like I said, is a Christian man. He's done a lot of different things off the court, a great person. But one attribute I think is has to be appealing to you is the way he's taken five stars and guys similar to your story and put them in the NBA now. You look at Keon Johnson, Kenny Chandler will be drafted somewhere obviously this year. There's been a long list of guys, even Kevin Durant going back to Texas and Marcus Aldridge and those guys. How appealing was that aspect for you?
It was real appealing. Obviously with him having the track record of doing that, it shows that, he knows what he's doing, and he knows what it looks like. I know with me being able to go there, it shouldn't be really too much different with myself because he's been through it before. So I have full trust in him, and I know he has trust in myself.
So what's the favorite memory that you've created so far with Rick Barnes, whether that be on visits, Zoom calls, whatever it is? What's your favorite memory with him so far?
Probably, I think, like he told me I want to say this was on my visit, and
Mhm.
he's pulled up this clip of him acting in this movie that I didn't even know he was in. Like it's crazy stuff like that. Like he wouldn't even like he was actually in a movie that like it's just stuff like that, man. Great memories with him already.
Let's go a little bit back to the recruiting process. When was the point that you decided that Tennessee is where you wanted to go? Because you've now been committed for about 10 and 11 days, whatever it's been now. But well, from the time you announced your commitment, like how many days before that was it when you decided that Tennessee is where you're going to be heading?
The day before,
Oh,
it was actually like the night before when I really decided for it.
when you decide that Tennessee is where you're going to be heading, then I have to imagine the next step was to tell Coach Barnes that you're going to be a member of his team, that you're going to commit there. How did you tell him? What was his reaction?
I actually didn't tell him. I didn't really tell
Mhm.
nobody but my parents, my family and stuff. So they didn't know. Nobody really knew until I made the announcement. And it was great. He FaceTimed me like right after it and we talked about it. He was real happy. I was happy. So it was just a great moment.
That's actually the first time I've heard that. I know most guys go and call their coach beforehand. So when you announced that, then how long after that did Rick Barnes talk to you? And as well as that conversation, like then at that point, knowing that it's officially off your shoulders now, you know where you're going, and now you just get to talk to who you now know is going to be your head coach.
It was great. He probably called me maybe like 5 minutes after I was done with everything. Him and Coach Gainey was together. I got to talk to some of the players as well. So it was just great. We both talked about, what it's going to be like when I get here. He was couldn't wait for me to come down and move in next couple of weeks. So it was just a great conversation.
Mention some of the other players, and that's what's kind of special about this case for you because obviously you only went through the second recruiting process for a couple months, but you already had the prior relationship, got to see some of the guys beforehand too. So, were there any guys that you've already formed a relationship with, guys that you kind of know and kind of have built a bond with already that's on the team today?
Yeah, Josiah James, I have a real good relationship with him.
Mm-hmm.
Jonas, I got a pretty good relationship with him as well. So those two guys mainly.
Obviously, Josiah is going to be someone that we're going to see exactly if he's going to come back or not. I know most people think he will, but if you get to be alongside a guy that is an NBA caliber player and you get to play alongside him, most likely guys will be starting with 3 and 4 together. But how exciting would that make you, and how big would that be for you to be able to learn from a experienced veteran then in him that next year?
It'll be great. I'm really excited for, if he does decide to come back, obviously, he's from South Carolina as well. He was a McDonald All-American and everything coming out of high school, just like myself. So I'll be really excited, to pick his brain and match up with him in practice, get that experience of playing with the guy, alongside a guy like him. So I'm really excited for it.
I know you guys have a little bit of a gap in terms of age, I think 3 years or whatever. Did you know about him or know of him at least before you officially went and got to know him at the Tennessee visits and all that, or would you guys just start to get to
Yeah.
know each other?
Actually, well, I didn't know him, but I saw him. Like, I didn't know him personally, but I saw
Mhm.
him play when he was in high school. It was him and Aaron Neesmith at Porter God. They played at Chick-fil-A Classic. I forgot what team they played, but they ended up beating them. Pretty good. That was my first time actually getting to see him play and stuff. But yeah, I knew him since then.
This roster is still a little bit up in the air. There's been a lot of moves that Tennessee's made recently. Obviously, DJ just commit yesterday. This guy in 2023. And then you still have the two guys that's going to be in the NBA process that should announce. Obviously, we should talk about Josiah. Santiago's the other guy that's up in the air. But from the guys you can count on that you know right now, so obviously the Kai Ziegler's coming back. Yourselves can be there. Jonas, Jemai Masak, obviously a few other players too. How good do you think this team can be this upcoming season?
Really good. I think we could take it as far as we want. I think when I get down there, and in terms of if everybody comes back, even if they don't, I think we'll still be really good. I think Coach Barnes really knows what to do with his team. He'll know exactly what we need to do to have our success. Like I said, they just won the SEC championship last year. I see no reason why we couldn't come and do it again.
In the 2022 class, you guys have DJ locked in. You guys have BJ as well now. Have you gotten to know those guys yet, or will you guys start to get to know each other once you guys get on campus?
Yeah. I talked with BJ. I've talked with BJ a lot, pretty much since
Mhm.
I've been committed. Or even before I was committed, I was tested with him. He was trying to get me to come and stuff. But DJ, I haven't really got to talk with him as much. But I do plan on reaching out to him and congratulating him on his commitment and things, getting to know him even more.
Let's say Santiago comes back, Josiah Jordan comes back. How much better will this Tennessee team be next year?
It will definitely be better. It's experience coming back. They were on an SEC championship team, so they know what it takes. They know what it's like out there, so they'll be able to coach us freshmen, on the court and help us get equipped to the game faster.
So you are the fourth highest commit now, according to 24/7. When you look at the list of players that have gone to Tennessee now, we just mentioned some of the one and done guys the past couple of years, but the list all time is great. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot. I think it means that I'm coming into a place where it's a lot of culture. With me, like you said, being the fourth ranked highest player, I know it's some expectations for myself coming in, but I'm ready for the challenge. I'm ready to accept everything coming towards me. So I'm just really excited to get down there and get things started.
Do you feel any pressure on yourself knowing that you are the fourth highest commit now in program history, that you're a guy that obviously we talked about earlier, you have your name on mock drafts, people think you're going to be a one done type player, a lottery type talent. Is there any pressure on you this upcoming season, or how do you even take in all that spotlight and attention that's now being put on you as you get ready to go to Tennessee?
Yeah, I don't really take it as pressure because
Mhm.
when I was a kid and I thought about my basketball career along down the line, this is kind of what I wanted it to look like. I
Mhm.
obviously been able to go into college and be one and done and get to the NBA. That's kind of what I picture myself as having. So for now to come to fruition, it's just like I'm just taking it all in. Just staying as humble as I can, and thanking God for all the blessings He's put towards my way. So I don't really find it as pressure. I just find it as doing what I love, trying to take it as far as I can.
Going a little bit deeper in the NBA aspect, obviously, as we just talked about, that is your dream. And that is something that I think a lot of people know. And I believe that you have the ability to be a one done type talent. But when you evaluate your game and you have a year or so until you'd be going through the NBA process, possibly, what are the things that you want to improve on? Like, are there certain attributes or aspects of your game that you want to get better at, improve on before next year?
Yeah, I definitely want to work on getting stronger, and I know that's going to come, with being at college, obviously being in the weight room consistently every day, and on meal plans and stuff like that. So I think let's try to incorporate, gaining some more weight and building muscle. I think that should help elevate my game to the next level.
And when you look at NBA wise, and you know there's gonna be more and more mock drafts, especially after this draft goes on, you're officially the next up and coming draft. How do you maintain that? Like, do you ever look at the mock drafts? Do you ever pay attention to that type of stuff? Or how do you kind of take in when you look at hearing your name being talked about on ESPN or whatever it might be about as an NBA prospect?
Yeah, I think it's great.
Mhm.
Obviously, being able to have people see that in you prior before you even get to college, but I don't really think it means that much, obviously because I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
And I still have a whole season to play. So I don't really look at it too much. But it's definitely great having my name on there.
I know that obviously your mindset has to be, at least when you're going there, is okay, I'm going to be the best. I want to win games. We want to go as far as we can at Tennessee. How do you balance the mindset aspect of saying, being in the present of enjoying this next year in college, playing at a high level, winning games, whatever God's got in store for you this next year, while still kind of looking at saying, I have to better myself and get myself ready for the NBA potentially in the 2023 draft, maybe even if it's 2024 draft, and that's the case.
Yeah, well, I try like to keep the main thing the main thing. And
Yeah.
I think we're going to college. That's the main thing of that's my current stage. So I really want to hone in on being the great college player. Winning games, playing the best I can for my teammates. And I think if I really excel at doing those things, being able to put my name in the draft and go through that process will naturally come.
At the end of the day, though, we know that Tennessee is getting an NBA prospect in you. So fans are ecstatic for that. They're going to be excited to go and see what the fourth highest ranked recruit in program history is going to look like. So give them a little sneak peek preview about that. Like, what can they expect from Julian Phillips when he gets out there?
Just a great guy on and off the court, a real versatile guard on the court, being able to shoot it, bring the ball up, make plays for my teammates. And then, like I said, off the court, just a great guy, anybody could come up and talk to, hang with, laugh and joke with. So just really great person.
We got into NIL a little bit ago, but if you could pick one brand, a shoe company, a car dealership, whatever it is, what would be your dream sponsorship that you would have?
My dream sponsorship.
Mhm.
That's tough. Man, I never thought about that. Um, Probably Chick-fil-A. I eat a lot of I like Chick-fil-A, so if I could do something with them, I think that'd be tough.
Absolutely. Well, I know that all guys do want to be remembered for something. So when that day does come, you decide to move on from Tennessee and you leave the campus, if that's 1 or 2 years, whatever God's got in store for you, what do you want to be remembered for what you achieved both on and off the court there?
But yeah, just a really nice off the court, a really nice guy. Somebody, fans could connect with. And then on the court, just a really hard worker, somebody who took everything as serious as they could, took really no plays off. And really honed in on being a great teammate and just even a better person.
Something I want to wrap up with you is talking about your faith. I know we got into that a little bit with Rick Barnes, but going a little bit deeper into your own faith now, how would you say God has helped get you to the point that you're at today?
He's helped me a lot. He's helped me a lot being by my side from where I was as a kid, playing basketball when it was just a dream to everything I've been able to accomplish as a high school player now. And then what I'm going to be able to accomplish going on as a college player has just been great. I stay connected with him all the time, always pray before every meal, pray before I go to sleep, pray when times get rough or even pray when times are great. You always want to thank him for everything. So just being able to have him by my side and being able to accept his blessings upon his will has been great for me.
Growing up in a Christian household, I know you kind of just learned the stories at a young age, it's kind of brought upon you to know about God. But at what point in life would you say you started forming that personal bond? You started getting close to him and really started not just be something that your parents kind of told you about or brought upon you, but something that you truly connected with him and felt kind of built that own bond with him.
Yeah, I think probably from my grandmother.
Mm.
My parents, we talked about it, a couple of times, but I never was like a church goer as a kid. Well, we
Mm.
did a little bit before we moved and stuff, but as we moved, we weren't really into it as going to church as much. But when I would go see my grandmother in Chicago, she would tell me about them and keep my faith up. So then when I would go home, I would do more research on it myself, within life, whether that's reading the Bible, whether that's, reading the daily scriptures or something like that. And as I got older, I finally realized the more importance of it. You really couldn't really understand it as much as a kid because you're a kid. You're just like a faith
Mhm.
type thing. But once you get older and you start seeing how it really impacts your life, you start being able to get into it a lot more. And I think that's where it took me.
So, where's the biggest moment that you've seen God show up in your life so far to this point in time?
Recently was probably when I got in that four-wheeler accident. We were going real fast and things probably could have been a lot worse than what it really was. Luckily, I just broke my nose. Well, not luckily, but
Mhm.
luckily it wasn't worse than that and a couple of scratches, because we were going pretty fast. But just I think him having his guiding hand over me, obviously I learned a lesson not to get back on one of those ever again, but
Mhm.
now my nose is healed and I'm, my body feels great. But just thankful it didn't get get worse, So I think that was that moment where I really saw it.
I know that for a lot of people too, that God typically puts some place and avenue in life that if there was obviously no financial restrictions on you, you had all the money in the world, which is a possibility for you obviously in the future. Is there a certain place that you feel led that you want to go get back to, rather it be the homeless or orphans or back home, whatever it is? Like, is there a certain avenue of life that you kind of feel led to that you want to help and give back to if you have the opportunity to someday?
Yeah, it's definitely something I want to do is give back and find some way to help some type of cause in the world. But I haven't really looked into it to see what specific one it will be. But that's something I do plan on doing. God willing, I make it to the NBA and make enough money where I'm capable of doing that.
Well, I've got a few things I want to wrap up real quick with. One of which is on Instagram in your bio, you have been one. So take us through a little bit of that. Like, take us through why that's in your bio and what that exactly means.
Oh yeah. It just means like, you know, Actually, I don't. Like, I know what it means, but I got it from a rapper, so like I can't really. I don't really have my explanation on it because it's not my saying. But in terms of which he uses it, it's just like means that you've been one of the guys, or like you've been what you are right now. Like you've been that even before people saw it in you. You know, you've been one of those guys. So that's kind of what it means.
On Twitter, then in your bio, you have humble beast. So take us a little bit through that. Then I kind of obviously it's a little more self-explanatory, but
Yeah.
take the meaning behind that for you.
Oh yeah, that's what I like to call myself, the humble beast. I actually got that from G Herbo. It's one of his albums is called Humble Beast, but that's just meaning like, you know, you're just one of the guys who, of course, stay down, you know, as humble as you can be, but like on top of you being as, you know, quiet and humble, you're still a beast in what you do.
That's something I've always respected about you because obviously, as I said, we've known each other about 2.5 years, whatever it's been now. And you've obviously now become the 5-star, McDonald's All-American, and NBA prospect. The list goes on. You still remain the same guy, though. You've always been someone that's still laid back, cool. Obviously, anyone that knows you and talks about you, obviously, you're giving back to help people. You're always there to take pictures and whatever off the court. How have you been able to remain humble? How have you been able to kind of stay grounded in who you are as a person, even with all the fame and attention that's come to you now?
Just knowing that life wasn't always like this, you know, I wasn't always what I am today. You know, I wasn't always a guy that people wanted to take pictures with or was a 5-star guy or, you know, so just knowing that I wasn't like that before, it just caused me to remain who I am. And knowing that, you know, if you take it for granted, it could be taken away from you. So just try to just stay down and, you know, just keep the blessings coming. You know, that's how I remain the way I am.
Well, I've got one final question for you. So, what are your 3 biggest goals that you have set for your Tennessee career?
Oh, definitely want to get to the tournament, try to win, be a national champion for sure. Definitely want to be all freshman SEC. And then third, just be the best teammate I could be to my players, to my team.
Absolutely. Julian, congratulations on the commitment. I'm excited to see what God got next for you throughout your career out there in Tennessee. And obviously moving forward, keeping the line. I appreciate taking time to come on today, man.
Oh, man, I appreciate you having me.
Of course. As you know, man, you're always welcome on. God bless, man.
All right. Thank you, man.